Salvete, Michael is with you on the MikePlayShow channel, and in this video we will analyze the plot of Alone in the Dark. The evening wrote a script. Just don't tell the Hushik, otherwise it didn't turn out very well. Go.
We need to understand that at the beginning of the game we are given a choice of who to play for. This will not fundamentally affect the ending, but it will help reveal more details if we play as each of them. After examining the documents, we learn about a mysterious black man who intimidates local interrupters. And yes, he doesn't steal. He's just a demon. The storylines are almost 98% similar between the main character and the main heroine, so it makes little sense who you choose in the first playthrough. The nature of the creature itself is described in previous parts of the series and in Lovecraft's works. The Black Man refers to an omnipotent evil that controls the dreams of the main characters, influencing their consciousness and driving them crazy. The servants of the Black Goat cult are fanatics who worship the almighty evil Shub-Niggurath, which is more terrible than Cthulhu himself. It had to get out and destroy the world. It was Grace who wanted to be sacrificed to this creature by hanging on a tree. It is precisely this creature that resembles a tree. But the main character destroys the creature. It is possible that it was only part of the creature or its child. Yes, this thing reproduces, producing ugly offspring. The re-release itself takes inspiration from the old game series of the 90s, which are also connected with the previous parts of the series, or more precisely with the lore of Lovecraft. I assume that the Cult of the Goat was taken from the first part of the series in 1990. And the revived tree itself is the spirit of Jeremy Hartwood, the owner of a mental hospital who committed suicide, but this is just a hypothesis taken from previous parts. Therefore, I am inclined to argue that this is just a part of Shub-Niggurath embodied in the real world, which is why it was easy to defeat him. You need to understand that the new part of this franchise is a remake, which is not related to the new parts and is a reboot of the entire universe. The girl Grace herself, whom we are saving, is also the main character of the second part of the 1990 series. The universe of this game is being restarted for the second time. The first time was in 2008. And the second time was already 2024. Therefore, references to previous parts of the series are just demagoguery. And you shouldn't rely on the plot from the previous parts. The main characters are Detective Edward Carnby and Emily Hartwood, who were the heroes of the first part of the series. And by the way, there was also a choice of who to play for at the beginning. Now let's talk about the plot of this series itself. You need to understand that the first thing the main characters do, they are sent to a mental hospital in order to find the missing uncle of our main character, Jeremy Hartwood. The heroine herself says that he was lured into a cult, and in his dreams he is haunted by a black man. The uncle is mentally ill and for some reason mysteriously disappears. As a result, they enter this room and meet with the residents of this house. All of them are mentally ill or service personnel. The building itself was an estate that had been converted into a mental hospital. Having investigated the house, They come across a painting depicting an uncle with a frightened face and an amulet. The main character finds this amulet and activates it. As a result, we have hallucinations. From this moment we begin to travel to different worlds. It is important to emphasize that only one hero whom you have chosen will travel through the illusions. And the second will walk around the premises asking people. And the worlds themselves are the memories and consciousness of the main character's uncle. From the detective's notes, we understand that a dangerous black man, who is a dark entity, is operating in this house. In fact, this is a spirit that has not rested, and he lived for a long period of time. Starting from ancient Egypt, and is a magician who was disturbed as a result of Egyptian excavations. We will learn about this a little later. This already suggests that the lore data differs from the 1990 series. Then we begin to have hallucinations, as a result of which we begin to travel in the dreams of the lost uncle of the main character. The first dream is just a dark street, on which we kill several creatures. As a result we stumble upon one of the visitors, namely an African American. Seriously, anyone cares about his name? Moving further and moving from one real event to an illusion and having destroyed a couple of monsters, we stumble upon the uncle of the main character and ask, "Why here?" He says that he made a sacrifice so that this evil, namely the black man and Shub-Niggurath, would not break out, and entered into a contract with him, and you need to conclude a contract every time. Otherwise this creature will break out and destroy the world like Cthulhu. How it was implemented in all series of games in 1992. By the way, if you do not defeat this creature, it will eventually break out and turn the world into a house. We ask how to break the contract, and as a result we learn that it is necessary to find this contract in Egyptian excavations and perform a cleansing ritual. Having examined the documents of the patients, we realize that each of these inhabitants is a mental patient with various psychological disorders. For example, Gravis Sanders lost her father. Because of this she cannot cope with the loss. Although in the 1992 game there was no such information at all, and you need to understand that all this information is the creation of a new franchise. But the destinies of the detective and Grace intersected. And as he goes through the process, he will remember the impact he had on her destiny. From conversations with Grace, the detective understands that Grace has fallen under the influence of a dark cult. And this is precisely what can be noticed when she talks to him about the arrival of some new creature. After the main character travels further through his uncle's dreams, he will meet an unfamiliar man who is part of the subconscious. This stranger is a haven of peace where the protagonist's uncle could regain his sanity. You can call it a psychological defense mechanism called isolation, in which he has a small world that helps him defeat the shadow of the black man that drives him crazy. Then this unknown figure tells us that we need to go further to the library and there get information about the curse itself. Then we meet the darkest man, but the man saves us. But the black man has already settled in the mind of the main character. And we run away from the black man in this way. But an unknown man helps us overcome the influence of the black man. And with the help of the amulet we return to our real world. Then the detective moves to the dock, very much reminiscent of the location from The Call of Cthulhu, which is the same memory as the memories associated with other events of the uncle. There we move on to the ship. Then the main character meets his uncle again and finds out that he signed the contract directly in the mummy's excavation. The main character goes there with the help of an amulet and takes the contract itself. The hero is captured by flying creatures, and he loses consciousness and returns back to reality. From the notes, the main character learns that the main character's uncle has a mental illness, and in order to cure him it is necessary to perform a lobotomy through an eye injury. But also from the notes it can be understood that this is a ritual capable of restoring the protagonist's sanity and freeing him from the curse and contract. The main character goes in search of the dagger and finds it and escapes from the monsters by fleeing the ship. The detective again returns back to the real world. Into the room in which he notices the uncle of the main character, who is depressed along with an alcoholic patient. Further after this, each of our main characters will have their own memories. One will have memories associated with the daughter, or rather with the girl. And the events, we understand that the main character killed Grace's father because he kidnapped his daughter and tried to escape with her to another state. Well, Grace, of course, remembered this. He, of course, repents of his own actions. After all, if he had not killed him, then Grace would not have developed psychological trauma and would not have fallen under the influence of the cult. But she eventually forgives him. The events of the main character's memoirs tell us that her relative died in the First World War and she cannot let go of this situation. It's the black man who is trying to either drive them crazy in this way, or try to show them previously made mistakes, but I guess it's the latter. He tried to drive them crazy. Like he did with the heroine's uncle. And thus stop them so that they do not place the ceremony. In the end, the relative forgives her and lets her go. Next we go to the last dream, in which the main character discovers one of the members of the expedition named Jacob Van Ooststand. I couldn't find anything on him in Lovecraft's lore. You need to understand that the soul of this person has already been almost completely destroyed and only the material part remains, which controls the black man in the uncle's subconscious. It performs the function of holding the consciousness of the main character's uncle, so that he does not escape the curse. As a result, the main character kills the main defender and falls into the abyss with him. As a result, the detective ends up back in the real world, but the black man is chasing him. There are two cutscenes here. If it is the detective, then he beats the dark man with the butt of a pistol, and the heroine pokes out the villain's eye. After the massacre, one of the main characters is put to sleep and ends up in a chair. He is informed that he was put to sleep because he attacked the uncle of the main character and injected him in the eye, thereby performing a lobotomy at the same time. But everything is fine. Thanks to this he recovered. There will be no criminal record. There will be a doctoral award. Then all members of the mental hospital begin to carry out a mysterious ritual. It should be noted that the main character or hero performed the operation on her uncle in order to free him from the curse, as was written in the mysterious chronicles. I assume that this ritual was aimed at preventing the creature from leaving or, on the contrary, summoning it. And perhaps the occultists did not begin to summon the monster, but only worshipped it. Because from their words we understand that they did this every year. We prevent the ritual by saving the girl from hanging and set the tree on fire. As a result, the tree comes to life and gets angry, eating and killing the occultists. The main characters escape with their uncle and finish off the creature, and in the end the heroes are saved, the estate burns down, and the game ends there. The gameplay of the game is very similar to Resident Evil Remake, and its atmosphere is also very similar to Mafia. I think the game is great and worthy. There is a good interesting plot, excellent graphics and interesting puzzles. I hope you found this video helpful. Subscribe, like and comment. Good luck to everyone and bye.